Hello and good, beautiful Sunday, everyone. My name is Coach Darwin Rivers, and as you know, you are watching the HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay at Iba Pa. Our topic for this weekend is about crisis management, how HR can properly handle internal and external communications. And this will be brought to you by the Philippines HR Group, and we have our very special guest, Mr. Oliver Requilman. Oliver will be joining us at the second part of the program. So let's start our HR Cafe. For those of you guys who just joined HR Cafe, the HR Cafe Usapang Trabaho, Buhay at Iba Pa is an online talk show program that we've started in 2020. We are the longest running HR virtual program and free training program. And this is sponsored by the Philippines HR Group. We're aired every Sunday at 3 p.m. My name is Coach Darwin. I'm the founder and president of the Philippines HR Group. I'm a certified life coach, public speaker, motivational speaker, and HR consultant. I'm also the vice president for human resources for a global BPO company. And of course, joining me today is no other than Mentor Alan Cañete. Mentor Alan is an HR and learning and development practitioner with more than 20 years of corporate and freelance consulting experience. He's the president and managing director of Creative Moves Business Outsourcing and also one of the founding board directors of the Philippines HR Group. Please say hi, Mentor Alan, to our audiences for today.
Thank you, Sir Coach Darwin. Magandang hapon sa inyo lahat. Magandang umaga para dun sa manunod ng recorded version ito at saka good evening in all sa lahat po ng nanonood in all
Time
anywhere
zone.
in this planet. Anywhere in this planet. Kasi ang ganda, Sir Darwin, itong technology natin, since they will be watching this also after the live in YouTube. Ano pa? Channel natin. YouTube.
And then the HR Cafe channel. And of course, the Philippines HR Group. It's at the pin post.
So they can watch this kahit natapos na yung live
and review, no?
in this platform, no? Kaya ako nagigreet sa inyo in all tawag dito lahat ng mga time zones, no? Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning sa lahat. And isa na naman pong Sunday talk show ang inyong panonoorin na punong-puno ng maraming aral, no? And we have a very special guest today who will be talking about a very, very interesting topic also. Back to you, Sir Darwin.
Okay, and before I proceed, Happy Father's Day po, Mentor Alan Cañete, and all of the fathers who are watching right now, all of the fathers that are watching from the Philippines HR Group, saan man lupalo po kayo ng Pilipinas, saan man lupalo po kayo ng bansa, ng mundo. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day
to everyone who's a father in and outside of their homes and in and outside of their offices. Okay, let's continue. Well, we have two more mentors, unfortunately, who won't be able to join us, but they will be joining us next week. And these are mentors Rhonda Ferentino. Mentor Rhonda has more than 20 years of HR practitioner work experience from different local and international companies. She's a president and CEO of Rush social geekers, a public speaker, and an HR consultant, and also one of LinkedIn's top 100 Filipinos to follow. As well as mentor Tina Kuang. Mentor Tina is actually in the United States right now, and she will be back next week. She is an operations and HR leader with both local and overseas experience. She's a general manager and HR head of a retail company. She's best known for online content and blog tinainmanila.com. And of course, she's also one of LinkedIn's top 100 Filipinos to follow. Now, for all of you guys, as mentioned, sa mga matagal nang sumusubaybay sa amin at sa mga taong ngayon pa lang na natuklasan ng HR Cafe, the HR Cafe provides timely news and updates. We also impart knowledge and experience that are value-adding and beneficial to our audience. We discuss problems and issues and challenges and provide answers and resolutions on various HR topics as well as people matter topics. We provide weekly free training. That's the second part of our program, and this is through our expert and seasoned guest resource speakers. We also discuss new technologies, tools, and processes, as well as industry's best practice. At the end of the day, here at the HR Cafe, we would like to make sure that we bridge understanding between employers and employees and provide inspiration and motivation as well as to advance HR in the Philippines. Now, Mentor Alan, our whenever we start our program, we started with the wow quote for the week, di ba? And for this particular week, nako tamang-tama. Because we will be talking about crisis later on at the second part of the show. Our wow quote for the week is also aligned with the topic. This is a quote coming from Phil McGraw. According to Phil McGraw, don't wait until you're in a crisis to come up with a crisis plan. Let us repeat that. Don't wait until you're in a crisis to
To
come up
come up
with a
with a
crisis plan.
crisis plan.
This is from Phil McGraw.
Bill
So,
McGraw.
mga kababayan, mga taga-subaybay, please, if you have any thoughts about this particular wow quote for the week, please put it at the comment section and we will be happy to share it to the community. Also, if you're watching us right now, please also indicate your name, your company, and where you are located in the Philippines para naman po ma-shout out namin kayo, babati namin kayo. But
Mm.
before I give the floor to you, Mentor Alan, for the wow quote for the week, Jing Abelera says, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Father's Day, Sir Alan, and to all the fathers out there. Kat Suarez
Hi,
says, good
Jing.
afternoon po, Coach Darwin Rivers and Mentor Alan. Thank you so much for our
Hi, Kat.
learning this afternoon. More
Yeah.
power to the Philippines HR Group and the HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Boy Iba Pa. This group is so helpful. So, alam niyo po ba na ang Philippines HR Group the other day has reached more than 300,000 members already. So, tuwan-tuwa po
Wow,
kami.
congratulations.
So,
To
more than
Nalagona sa
300,000 na po tayo sa community. And we will continue to advance HR. We will continue to make sure that we have a safe space community where we can exchange our ideas and thoughts about HR and people-related topics. Now, let's go to our quote for the week from Phil McGraw. Mentor Alan, what
Okay.
is your thoughts about this
Ako,
particular
I'm
wow
sure
quote?
I'm sure Coach Darwin, lahat nakaka-relate kasi lahat tayo nakaranas na ng crisis sa ating buhay, whether sa professional life or sa personal life, no? Now, this quote emphasizes the importance of proactive preparation and planning rather than reactive response. Maraming mahilig sa reactive response, no? Na nakikita mo, natataranta, nagkakaroon ng mga panic attacks, nai-stress, pwede naman maiwasan. So it suggests that it is unwise to wait for a crisis to occur before developing a strategy to deal with it. So instead, in-encourage tayo nitong quote na to as individuals or organizations to anticipate potential crisis and create a comprehensive plan in advance. Lalo na tayong mga professionals, we are accountable to our employer and responsible to our constituents or employees. Kaya tayo mismo mga leaders, meron dapat tayo nitong tinatawag nating comprehensive plan, parang sort of preparedness na rin, ano? Kaya this quote serves as a reminder for us to prioritize preparedness, and it is also emphasizing the value of foresight. Dapat meron tayo niyan, and strategic thinking when it comes to managing crisis effectively. For example, tayo mga HR practitioners, it stresses the importance of proactively developing a crisis plan for various potential scenarios. Ano-ano ba yung mga potential scenarios? 2020, actually 2019 pa lang, naranasan na natin hanggang 2020 yung naging pandemya na kasalukuyan ay hindi pa naman talaga totally nawawala, nabigla tayong lahat doon because not everyone were prepared for that crisis. Kaya ang daming nahirapan nung 2020 lockdown, and may buntot pa yun ng 2021. Kaya it is important that we have a crisis plan like that, dahil in any eventuality na may similar crisis would happen, prepared tayo. Like natural disasters, economic downturns, which is happening right now, mga internal conflicts sa kumpanya ninyo, mga labor disputes, dapat meron po tayong mga crisis management plan. By having a well thought out crisis plan in place, HR teams can respond swiftly and effectively. Now, para sa lahat, no, in general, working individuals, para sa nakararaming nanonood ngayon na hindi naman connected sa HR, ibang department, pero ganun din, no? You need to um, have a preparation. Never be complacent with your, well, sabihin natin satisfactory na yung situation mo, pero kapag tayo po yung naging complacent and suddenly a crisis would happen, baka tayo mataranta. Daig nga raw ng maagap ang masipag. So, this reminds us to take a proactive approach. For example, in your own career development. Kapag ikay complacent na dahil anyabang mo na, marami ka nang alam, all of a sudden, nagka-crisis yan sa kumpanya nyo, sino ba ang mga tatawagin? Yung mga hinug na to replace people who are not there anymore, mga nag-retire, mga nag-resign, kung hindi ka prepared in terms of skill, kulang ang iyong skill set, sayang kasi naging complacent ka during the times na pwede ka na sana mag-improve, mag-develop ng iyong skill. Okay? And for the business owners out there listening to us, this is a reminder to prioritize risk management and crisis preparedness. Business owners should establish a crisis plan that covers various scenarios. For example, mga financial crisis, supply chain disruptions, reputational damage, mga nangyayari kapag merong mga product deviation or complaints from the customers because of some processes or services. Nako, it will affect your reputation. Your image is very important. By anticipating potential challenges and devising a strategic response plan in advance, you as business owners can mitigate the impact of crisis and protect your employees and also your stakeholders, and increase the chances of successful recovery and thrive, no, even in the midst of crisis. Maraming kumpanya nag-thrive or nag-prosper even during the pandemic, no, because sabi nga nila, they were at the right place at the right time, pero ang secret nun, they already have a crisis management plan. Para mong tinapon yung isda sa dagat, nung nagkaroon ng crisis, hindi sila nalunod. Pero kung yung tao hindi prepared, di marunong lumangoy, or anumang animal, hindi marunong lumangoy, tinapon mo sa dagat, siguradong dedo. Okay? So, whether organizations or individuals or any profession, kahit nga mga walang trabaho, kapag meron silang crisis management plan, they will survive and others can even thrive. Overall, this quote advises you, HR professionals, working individuals, and business owners to be proactive rather than reactive in your approach to crisis. Okay? Yun po yung aking masasabi dyan. Dami kong sinabi, Sir Darwin, sensya na.
No worries. Actually, nabanggit mo na lahat ang dapat sabihin, Mr. Alan. But for me, siguro may idadagdag ko na lang. What I can add to my thoughts about this quote is that it's very important for HR professionals and people leaders to know how to be crisis managers, because whenever a crisis arises, you as leaders, hindi lang HR, department heads, people leaders, CEO, kayo yung tinatawag na crisis manager. And dapat, bago pa lang dumating ang isang crisis, one of the things that you should be doing is, bago dumating isang crisis, na-anticipate mo na. Sabi nga ni Mentor Alan, you need to have foresight. Whenever you're establishing a company, you need to make sure that part of uh, the roles that you will be doing is not only establish the policies, the processes, the procedures, but also create a business continuity plan, a emergency program, a crisis management team, so that when these things arrive, when crisis arrives, or anything that would impact the employees or the business or the company or the whole organization, sa site man yan or sa lahat ng sites na meron kayo, o sa isang department man yan o sa lahat ng department na meron kayo sa isang organization, you are prepared. So there are a lot of opportunities to actually create BCPs, emergency programs, and whatnot. And I think hindi lang to sa opisina eh. Maihahalin tulad din natin to on how we handle our personal life. Di ba, Mentor Alan, hindi naman po pwede na hindi ka nagpaplano. Kasi tayo, di ba, we normally plan for our future. And part of our planning is dapat alam mo, yung meron ka dapat plan A, plan B, plan C, di ba?
Correct.
Hindi lang dapat na meron kang goal, isa lang yung plan mo. Kasi
Yun.
dapat meron kang plan B, plan C. Paano ka mag-fail si plan A? Paano mag-fail
Mm.
si plan B? You should be able to anticipate and have foresight in each and every aspect of a situation, so that if ever unfavorable things happen or occurs, then you will have something that would be able to help you thrive and survive such
Mm.
situations. So that is very
I agree.
important. Sabi ni Joanne Badango Holgado, this is applicable not only for HR. I am assigned in the manufacturing. This is very important to us to meet our targets. This is part
Yes,
of
I
the
agree.
crisis management program. So Joanne, I'm sure marami kang matututunan mamaya kay uh, Mentor Oliver sa second part of the program when he discussed about crisis management. So let's go to our next topic. This is our HR question for the week. Since it's Father's Day, Mentor Alan, ang tanong ng marami is, ano ba itong paternity leave benefit? At sino ba ang mga qualified na mag-apply ng paternity leave? So that's a question, and let me answer this. First, the paternity leave is actually part of the Philippines Paternity Leave Act of 1996. Ito yung tinatawag na Republic Act number 8187. This
Mm.
provides married fathers, importante yung word na yun, na married fathers who are employed in the private and public sector with 7 working days of paid paternity leave at full for up to 4 children. So ano
Mm.
yung mga requirements? Unang-una, kung mag-a-avail ka ng paternity leave, kailangan married ka. Hindi
Mm.
pwede ka mag-avail ng paternity leave dahil hindi ka kasal. Or kung
Mm.
kasal ka man, dapat na i-avail mong paternity leave, ang reason is dun sa anak mo, na anak mong legal. Kasi
Legal.
sinusuportahan nung batas na to yung ano natin, yung family code natin. Kasi syempre yung
Mm.
family code natin, they support the well-being of the family as the cornerstone of the of the country, 'di ba? So talagang mahalaga sa kanila na na dapat buo ang pamilya. So kailangan married ka at kung pwede ka mag-avail up to 4 leaves, 4 children, 7 days per children na full credit. So that is the Paternity Leave Act. And napakarami mga nagtatanong about paternity leave eh. Kung ang paternity leave ba daw ay pupwede para sa mga uh, married or kumbaga yung cohabitating o hindi pa
Mm.
nagsasama pero kumbaga matagal na nagsasama pero hindi pa kasal.
Mm.
Unfortunately, hindi po pwede. Kailangan po talaga na kayo ay kasal sa nanay nung batang kapapanganak pa lamang o yung reason nyo ng pagka-file ng paternity leave. Kasi
Mm.
saan ba ginagamit ng paternity leave, Mentor Alan? Di ba? Ang paternity leave ginagamit natin yan pag-attend ng mga
Oo.
important events ng ating family related to
Oo.
the child, yung pagpapanganak ng asawa mo. So syempre, gusto mo habang nanganganak yung asawa mo, nandun ka sa tabi niya. So the law is
Oo.
providing you with all of the opportunity to file for 7 days paid for you to be able to um, be with your spouse during that particular time na
Yes.
manganganak siya. Also, pwede mong gamitin ng paternity leave kung sakasakaling halimbawa yung anak mo nagkasakit or a-attend ka ng PTA meeting, you can also use that. As long as sa isang taon at sa isang bata, 7 lang ang pwede mo
Oo.
magamit. Okay?
Okay.
How about you?
Tama.
Anything to add, Mentor Alan?
Yung sinasabi mong 7 days, pwedeng intermittent to, sir. No? Emphasize
Oo,
lang natin.
oo.
Pwedeng
Pwedeng,
intermittent, pwedeng continuous.
pwedeng continuous,
And
pwedeng hati-hatiin,
and
pwedeng
this is for
uh,
the purpose of paternal involvement in childbirth. Ibig sabihin, yung
correct, correct.
tatay, involved ka dun sa kapapanganak pa lang na baby, neonate, sa kanyang pag-aaruga nito. Kasi normal yan. Ako 3 beses ko nagamit ito eh. Yung 3 kong binata ngayon, ako mismo ang nakaranas na magpalit ng diaper, maglaban ng lampin dahil yung misis ko nung kapapanganak pa lang nung isa-isang yon, nung nanganak yung misis ko, hirap na hirap po siya. Siyempre, no? Ang hirap kaya mag-labor. So, nakakaawa naman. So, yun
Correct.
yung pagkakataon na mamaramdaman ng ating mga misis, maramdaman nila how much we care and how much we love them, no? Kaya we take care of the baby's needs. Mga first 7 days, even to 1 week, kahit mapasok na ako after the paternity leave, nagpupuyat ako para lang alagaan yung baby, pagdedein ng madaling araw. Umiiyak kasi yan nako, kung mararanasan nyo lang, para sa mga binata rito, pag naranasan yung masaya na mahirap na stressful, pero ando doon yung happiness. And in-encourage ko kayo mga bagong tatay ngayon, maranasan yun dahil talagang ang sarap maging father kapag naranasan nyo yung kapapanganak pa lang na baby na inaalagaan nyo. 3 times kong naranasan yan. Back to you,
Agree.
Sir Darwin.
Agree. And sana, bago magkaroon ng anak, dapat muna ikasal at maging tatay.
Yun. Importante yun.
Okay. We would like also to say hello to Jethro Jet Lerazan, who says good afternoon. Again, if you are watching the HR Cafe, please put your name, your company, or which area in the Philippines or in the world you are located so that we can give you a shout out. Para naman po ma-recognize namin po kayo. Gustong-gusto po namin nalalaman na marami po pala nanonood sa ating programa at marami ang talagang patuloy na sumusubaybay at sumusuporta sa atin. Now, for updates on social security system, as per SSS, if you have been a victim of scammers or fixers in your SSS online transactions, SSS urge you to file a complaint and cooperate fully with the Philippine National Police or PNP or the National Bureau of Investigation, NBI, Anti-Cybercrime Group. Tutulungan po kayo ng SSS na lumapit sa PNP or sa anti-cyber group ng NBI para po mahuli po itong mga scammers at itong mga fixers na to na talaga namang dapat ay hindi sinusuportahan, talagang dapat pinapakulong kasi ito po mga scammers na to ay sila po ay ginagamit ang inyong impormasyon para po makakuha ng pera sa SSS at para magamit ang benepisyo nyo na dapat kayo yung gumagamit, naging sila yung gumagamit. So talagang iwasan po natin yung mga fixers, i-report po natin yung mga scammers. Okay? So meron po pwede po kayong i-report ang mga scammers at fixers through SSS. Ito po ay sa FID at sss.gov.ph or sa telephone numbers 8924-7370. Now, another announcement for Pag-ibig is that ngayong Father's Day, nako, napaka-importante, di ba? Father's Day ngayon, sinabi nga na talagang ito'y selebrasyon para sa ating mga ama. Ang ngayong Father's Day po, sinasabi ng Pag-ibig na show your pag-ibig in multiple ways to your multi-talented tatay by availing Pag-ibig Multi-Purpose Loan. Ang multi-purpose loan po ay isang loan na pwede nyong i-apply sa Pag-ibig at within 2 to 3 days makukuha nyo na po ang loan na ito at pwede nyong i-treat si tatay sa isang engranding vacation, di ba? So you just have to go to Pag-ibig offices or you can log in to pag-ibigfundservices.com or go to the Facebook, official Facebook or social media of Pag-ibig para po sa impormasyon regarding Pag-ibig. Okay? And before we continue, Jethro Lerazan, good afternoon, Coach. I'm an HR student trying to learn as much as possible from General Santos City, Cotabato. Nako, Jethro, if you're a student of HR, what I would advise you is that watch all the previous episodes of the HR Cafe. Every week, iba-iba pong topic meron kami. We already have 138 episodes. These episodes ranging from talent acquisition, payroll, HR best practices and whatnot. And also, of course, make sure that you read all the questions and comments sa Philippines HR group sa Facebook page natin. Kasi doon talaga marami kang matututunan. Kasi the different exchanges of our mentors, of our senior leaders, and those in HR providing their experience and their knowledge. And yan it's an avenue of sharing. So you'll be able to learn more and more. And also, Jethro, if you are planning to be more experienced in HR, I would like to encourage you and your classmates to attend the upcoming HR Core Training Program. It's a 2-day HR Core Training Program that will be happening in August. We'll be announcing it. Actually, nasa pin post na yan ng Philippine HR Group. Ano yan? Parang HR Bootcamp. It's 2 days, 2 whole days. Topics are total rewards, total acquisition, labor law, employee engagement, and of course, learning and development. So, that's it. And I'll give the floor to you, Mentor Alan. Oh, meron pa lang Pag-ibig. Sorry. Another updates from Pag-ibig is, alam niyo po ba, total naman pinag-uusapan natin yung loan, di ba? Sinasabi po ng Pag-ibig na from January to April of this year alone, meron na po silang 700,000 members na natulungan. At ito po ay nagkakahalaga ng more than 16 billion cash loans. So, wow. Pag-ibig releases 15.82 billion in cash loans in the first 4 months of the year, an increase of 5% from 15.10 billion releasing the same period last year of 2022. The amount of multi-purpose loans disbursed by the agency helped more than 728,653 members with their financial needs. Again, kung meron po kayong financial na pakakailangan, ang Pag-ibig multi-purpose loan po ay isa sa pwede nyo pong sandigan. Madali lang po mag-apply as long as meron po kayong karampatang hulog sa Pag-ibig, kayo po ay mabibigyan ng tulong through Pag-ibig multi-purpose loan.
Sir Darwin, tulad ng mga taong may problema sa kanilang record sa Pag-ibig in terms of yung contribution nila, yung mga records nila, saan sila pwedeng lumapit para i-verify yung kanilang record? Do you know
dapat nyo pong gawin ay pwede po kayo lumapit sa pinakamalapit na office ng Pag-ibig office sa inyong lugar, or kung member data record po, actually, pwede na po yan online. I-download niyo lang po ang app, ang Pag-ibig app through Google Store or virtual. I-log in nyo lang po yung mga details nyo doon at makikita nyo yung inyong mga contributions at ma-monitor nyo rin po yung mga loan applications ninyo
Yun yung
through
problema yata ng
virtual.
kaibigan ko. Member na siya dun sa online, pero pag bukas
Mhm.
niya, walang record. No record available in terms of yung kanyang
Pinaka the
contribution.
best niyang gawin ay pumunta po sa pinakamalapit na Pag-ibig office kasi po
Mm.
sila makakapagpa-print po sila. Libre po ang printing ng
Yung
inyong contributions, member data record contributions pag nagpunta po kayo sa office ng Pag-ibig para po
okay.
masolusyonan yung anumang problema nyo tungkol sa inyong data. Okay?
Yun. Okay.
Next would be, kung kayo naman po ay naghahanap ng bahay, nako, Pag-ibig po ay also nag-announce sa marami po silang mga stocks ng mga acquired assets. Ito po yung mga foreclosed na bahay ng Pag-ibig. Meron po silang acquired assets from Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. You just have to log into pag-ibig.gov.ph to see the full listings of all the acquired assets. And believe me po, ang pag-acquired assets po ng Pag-ibig, yan po ay normally 40 to 60% lower value ng market. So kung talaga pong naghahanap po kayo ng investment, kayo po ay inaanyahan ng Pag-ibig na tignan ang kanilang mga foreclosed or acquired assets sa
This
pag-ibigfund.gov.ph.
one.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, Mentor Alan, any updates from PhilHealth?
All right. About the Z benefit from PhilHealth. Ito po yung good news, no? Alam nyo ba na may 3 million Filipinos sa ating lipunan ang may sakit na scoliosis according to Scoliosis Research Society. At ito po yung good news. Unang-una, we are celebrating the Scoliosis Awareness Month ngayong June. At sinasabi po ng PhilHealth ay sagot nila ang ang gamutan sa congenital scoliosis due to congenital bony malformation. At ito ay nagkakahalaga ng 5,300. Yung mga gamit sa levels 1 to 3 sa 1 to 3 healthcare facilities na accredited ng PhilHealth. At sinasabi rin po ng PhilHealth na since ito ay part ng expanded Z benefit for mobility, ito pong natawag na orthosis, rehabilitation, prosthesis, health packages ay kasama dun sa expanded Z-Morph para sa spinal orthosis na merong benepisyo na ito po yung following, no? Para sa thoracolumbo-sacral, may 40,000 po yan na benefit sa Z benefit, no? Sa lumbosacral 30,000 at cervicothoracic ay may 45,000 na benefit mula po sa PhilHealth. Now, para po rin nyo ito ma-enjoy, magamit, ay di naman ma-enjoy, mapakinabangan para ho dun sa mga taong may karamdamang scoliosis, congenital scoliosis, gamitin po ninyo ang benefit na to. Call channel 0917-898-74 and 42. At marami pang mga contact information na pwede mahanap sa Facebook, Twitter, sa YouTube, and yung kanila pong website mismo, www.philhealth.gov.ph. Okay. So, ito naman, may announcement kami. Nakipag-partner po ang Infinite Care with Philippines HR Group upang magbigay ng unique partnership na to upang magbigay ng serbisyo para sa mga lahat ng nangailangan ng serbisyo connected to mental health. So, the two companies, Infinite Care, two institutions, should I say, because we are not actually, sir, Sir Darwin, we cannot be consider you cannot consider PHR Group as a company, but we are an incorporated
We are a non-government, we're actually
non-government
registered as
or
a NGO, a
an
non-government
NGO.
organization. We're non-stock, not-for-profit organization.
Yes. But we partnered with Infinite Care. Tinanggap namin tong offer na to dahil gusto rin namin tumulong. But this is not only open for HR practitioners. Open siya sa lahat ng members ng PHR group at kasama dito yung mga members na non-HR. And the partnership is intended to provide mental health support, no, sa mga members also. So, giving them access to personalized self-care tools and resources, a chat helpline, and a mga virtual sessions with licensed counselors, psychologists, and coaches. Okay, so Sir Darwin, may dadagdag ka pa?
So, ano po, para po magamit ninyo ang Infinite Care, kayo po ay kailangan mag-download ng Infinite Care app. Ito po ay mada-download nyo sa Google app or sa Google Store or sa App Store. Download nyo lang Infinite Care app, and then pag magsasign in po kayo, gawa po kayo ng account, tapos magsasign in kayo, ilagay nyo lang po Phil HRG Incorporated.
Yun.
Okay?
Dadagdag ko lang, Sir Darwin,
Mhm.
na lately, dami nating nababasa sa mga posts sa PHRG group, Facebook group, yung mga employees nila or even the HR practitioners themselves are suffering from some mental health issues or mga hindi pa naman nagiging serious, kaya lang nakakaramdam sila ng anxiety, nakakaramdam ng mga matataas na level ng stress that affects their concentration and other symptomatic behaviors, no. So, sabi nga, sino ba ang HR ng HR? May sagot na po yan. Ang itong partnership na to, pwede nyo malapitan para mahinga ng tulong by telling them yung inyong naranasang paghihirap. Because these people are open to listening to whatever things that you're going through, kung ano man pinagdadaanan ninyo. Ito yung mga professional psychologists, counselors, and life coaches.
Oh,
Back to you,
yep,
Sir
yep.
Darwin.
Okay. Now, we're about to go to our second part of the HR Cafe program. At alam kong napakarami ang nag-aabang ngayon para sa ating next speaker, ating guest speaker. But before that, if you have any questions, please post it at the Philippines HR Group main page. Or kung ang question nyo po ay patungkol sa topic ng speaker natin ngayon, po pwede nyo po siyang i-comment sa comment section natin dito sa show para po mabasa po namin kagad at itanong po natin sa ating speaker. Now, sino po ba ang ating guest speaker for today? Our guest speaker for today is none other than Mr. Oliver Requilman. Oliver, or Ollie as we call him, he's a HR leader with more than 20 years of experience, and that his experience has brought him into working into different industries as well as working in the academe. And alam niyo po si Ollie, napakatagal ko na pong panahong kaibigan yan at kami po ay nakikita sa iba't ibang HR events dahil pareho kaming ini-invite as speakers or resource person. At ang masasabi ko po, isa si Oliver sa napaka-passionate na nakilala ko na HR leader na talagang very much open na ibigay ang kanyang time at ang kanyang even ang kanyang resources to help the HR community. Sa katunayan is umuwi po siya ngayon ng Cebu para po sa Father's Day, pero yung kanyang commitment po para mag-guest sa HR Cafe ay nandito. Kaya po siya po ay magkakaroon opportunity para maibahagi sa inyo yung kanyang expertise with regards to crisis management as an HR leader. I will also give Oliver a chance to properly introduce himself, pero Oliver is one of the HR leaders that we've had in for the longest time, and nakasama po namin yan si Oliver sa Tech HR last year sa Singapore, and he's also one of the leaders that will be joining us this year for the Tech HR in Singapore also. So, with no further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Oliver Requilman, who will be discussing about crisis management, how HR can properly handle internal and external communications, which is very important not only for HR leaders but also for people leaders and department heads. Hi, Oliver. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I can hear you well. I wonder if you can hear me as well.
Yes, we can hear
Well,
you.
okay lang.
And
All right,
Oliver,
sige.
we'll give you the floor. We'll be at the backstage and we'll give you the floor so that you can start your discussion and you can now present your topic about crisis management. And a lot of people are watching us right now. So, okay, you can have the floor.
Fantastic,
Be at the
fantastic.
backstage.
All right. That was very lovely introduction, Darwin. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Alan, for co-hosting this event as well. All right. First and foremost, I would like to seek apologies to everyone, I mean, because I'm currently inside the Starbucks, and lately Starbucks has been putting their volume quite loud just to discourage people like myself from staying long and doing side business. So while I'm actually here in Cebu right now, I came home for the holiday, for the celebration of today's event, a celebration, I mean. So with that, second to that is I'd like to greet everyone a very happy Father's Day. Um, minsanan lang tayong nagiging tama ng isang beses sa isang taon. That's our day as fathers. No? Right. So happy Father's Day, everyone. Okay, so a little bit about myself. Well, you can always find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter. You can send me a message. You can find me on YouTube as well. But just a quick introduction, a very generic one. Um I've been around for more than 20 years already in human resources. So I've been into seven, I think eight, including academe, eight industries already. And these are the academic institutions where I came from. So very obvious, no? I'm really a Cebuano because I came from Cebu Doctors University. I took my MBA at Southwestern FINMA. Then I continued to USJR Recoletos, and I took two executive education, one from INSEAD France, and the other one was at AIM. So both were under a scholarship. Okay, so these are the companies I've been with. It's quite a lot, quite a long list. Okay, so as we begin, I'd like to set the mood straight. Okay, now this is with the assumption that there is no PR officer inside the organization. So by rule of thumb, it's the HR that's often assigned as the official representative na tagapanalita, no? Meaning the spokesperson of the organization in case of incidents and accidents, provided that the HR is given or granted with an authority to speak in behalf of the organization. So, as we begin, I wonder if you're familiar with this movie, Wag the Dog. If not, well, I would like to recommend to everybody this. I'd recommend to everyone to watch Wag the Dog. This was released in 1997. It was very helpful to me, especially at that time. Even as a student back in 1997, it helped me in a way to better understand what is meant by communication. Because when you say communication, especially if you are a student, if you're the undergrad, you see communication as a function, as a role, right? That you're going to do it. But there's more to it than just doing the talking. Now, here's another movie. Thank you for not smoking. No, sorry. Thank you for smoking. Now, this was in 2006. So this was released in 2006 at the height of, I think it was Enron who exited from Exxon, and Exxon came from a larger group, which was the California Texaco company, oil company, the Caltex as we know it. But they, instead of discussing oil, they positioned it in smoke or cigarettes. So go watch it. It's a very nice one. Now this is a more recent movie. Uh, Crisis. Our brand is Crisis. Now this is a very nice movie. This is very recent. It just came out in 2015. And I don't want to sound political, but if you will recall the campaign of then President Rodrigo Duterte, if you will recall how he, how the PR team positioned him, most likely I could say that the team may have seen this movie and they applied similar strategies during 2016 election. So here, accident versus incident. Regardless of the nature of the accident, of the incident, of the event, no, it could be accident, it could be incident. The point is there is always inquiries coming from outside, right? And those inquiries coming from outside, oftentimes coming from the media. Now, more recently, or more recent rather, anybody who has access on Facebook, like what we're doing right now, we're doing live, we can be considered already as a media outlet, right? Only that we're not large scale commercialized media outlet, but one way or another, we are considered to be a media channel. Tama, di ba? Now, in the past, HR always prepares for union strike. For the longest, as soon as I started in HR, whenever it is organized company, we always prepare for the worst. And when we say the worst, it's actually the union strike. So even before we get to receive the notice to strike, the NOS, we will prepare ourselves upon expiration of the CBA for the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario was the strike, the union strike. Now, second to that, we would prepare for an environmental catastrophe. So let's say, for example, leakage, any feedback, customer complaint. Like when I was in a food bev company, we would always encounter customer complaints about a certain object found floating inside the canister or inside the bottle. So those were the two preparations that we were doing at that time in terms of preparing for media events. Now, let's take a look back in 2013, 10 years ago. You can see in this slide, I lifted this from Shrimp. Now you will notice in the top priorities at the time 10 years ago cannot be found in the HR trends priorities today, right? You can't find it anymore. I mean, let's take a look back on that slide. What was people management concern in 2013? They were looking at talents, transfer, quality of talents, transfer of knowledge, and of course, evolving jobs at that time. Evolving jobs. So what do we mean by evolving jobs? For example, a graphic designer evolving into graphic slicer, right? An editor at that time was slowly transitioning to become both production manager, production producer, production manager, and editor at the same time. So it was transitioning towards that road. Now, 10 years later, here we are. Black Swan event happened in 2020. Actually, it was in December 2019 when the Black Swan event kickstarted, right? It was in Fujian province, as we all know, uh, where the first lockdown came. And then come 2020, it impacted Thailand, Singapore, and all other countries in Southeast Asia. Now, moving towards today, it has not really changed, although we have that Black Swan event. And since that our concerns have not largely, have largely changed and evolved. Now, when we look at the concerns right now of human resources, it's not just union strike that we are preparing for. It is not just environmental catastrophe or environmental nightmare, but rather we're looking into what natural calamities. That's one. Second is vehicular accidents because most of our employees right now are working from home, right? So part of that flexibility program is that there's an X number of days in a week as an X deal that they could work at home. And when they work at home, we do not have visibility in terms of transportation, how they manage their time, because we look at the results, right? So there might be some incidents now, there's a high risk or exposure to high risk in vehicular accidents. Now, second is of course pedestrian. Now, while we say, while we say that uh, a vehicular accident is most likely to happen, we're looking at the private owners. But when you look at the non-vehicular owners or non-vehicle owners, they are still considered to be the public transport commuters. The absence or the lack of public transport exposes them into another set of vehicular accidents. This time around, maybe they're not the ones driving on the wheel, they're not on the wheels, but they are the ones who might probably get run over or be a victim in the vehicular accidents. Now, similarly on that note, while we have the public transport commuters, we also have now the bikers, right? Kasi because of the lack of almost zero almost zero visible public transportation in middle of 2020 at the height of lockdown, there are some positions who were required to come to work, and when they come to work they had to use their own vehicles, which is the bicycle. So when you look at incident and accident, the only difference is that accident involves a person. There's a person who got injured or worse, demise. No, the accident resulted to a person's demise. An incident, however, is always on the near miss, right? Muntik mangyari or almost mangyari. So, ganito gagawin natin. Regardless of whether it's accident or incident, when it involves public interest, immediately there will be media inquiries, or there will be people calling your organization looking for this and that. So what I'm going to share with you is coming off from my 20-year experience being the point person in terms of anything that will happen in the organization. So by rule of thumb, I have no choice then but to be the spokesperson. But you know, when you are a spokesperson, you cannot say, "Boss, let me go let me go to to this particular training center and let me attend a 3-day seminar, then I'll come back later and prepare for it." Of course you can't do that. What you're going to do is, while you are on the fly, like 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 um, like uh like uh like a car, what it's like when you are a car, you're on drive all the time, you can immediately change from four-wheel drive to a two-wheel drive, right? So while you're doing that, you need to catch up with what should be being done, what should be done, I mean, and at the same time equipping yourself with the right competencies, right? So here's what you're going to do in handling media outside or even for inside. Well, media outside, labas yun eh, right? Sorry. Media outside and inquiries coming from inside. There are three phases. You start off with the phase one. Phase one, immediately in when an incident or accident happens, you need to convene. You need to convene for crisis management. And again, we are putting ourselves in the position as an HR being the point person. Point person as a spokesperson and the PRO o public relations officer. Kasi by default, wala kung wala, HR tagagawa. Now, you convene. The first is that you convene with Mancom or Execom or whoever group that you have on top in any authority. No, you have to convene immediately and collaborate on what you're going to prepare, what you're going to give, what answers you're going to give to inquiries. Now, when something happened like that, as large as that, ang pinakauna doon is merong tatawag sa hotline. And the hotline, when a security guard answers it, when the front desk answers it, immediately pupunta yun sa HR. So, when an accident happens like that, assign immediately from one of your team in HR who will be the official receiver of calls. Again, receiver. Hindi siya sasagot, hindi siya magko-commit. He will only get the questions being asked, the inquiries, receive the inquiries, and the number or where the person can be contacted when a proper answer can be formulated. Second, you assign an official speaker, which is you being the HR person or the HR head. Or if it's not you, then maybe you can get another person who could be an official spokesperson. Now, the critical part here is that the spokesperson should only say what is the official statement of the company. So, meaning it may be a person of authority or it may not may be a person of less authority. Kasi kung anong sasabihin niya will always be provided and approved by the management or by the crisis management committee. Now, third is that immediately establish what you are the set of or identify the set of answers. Questions, and immediately identify a set of answers to those questions that were initially raised to your office. Okay, para in that way, all of you will be coming in from that perspective, from that lens. So you have established that already, the answers to those questions, and then you're going to give feedback to those inquiries that earlier made calls, and you're going to do the same for the internal communication para pare-pareho kayo ng sasabihin at walang magkakasalungat sa inyo. In fact, even before you send it outside on the media, the first group of people that you should inform first are the ones working in the organization. Kasi pag merong nagkamali dyan, na natanong ng kung sino man sa labas at mali yung sinagot niya, that answer will form part of the official statement kahit na hindi siya official representative. Kaya pinakauna dyan, identify immediately and make that person, introduce that person as the official speaker of the organization. Okay. Now, second is, second on the is there are there are for in coming up with a full scale plan on the communication plan that you're going to communicate outside, and you can also apply the same when you organize a press conference. First is that you need to admit what happened, so you need to admit it, you need to man up, and you need to tell the people, the public, that what happened based on the facts that you have. Now, how do you apply facts? The result of the investigation of the PNP, so and so. The result of the SOCO, blah, 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 so and so. Or in the absence of those official report, then what you have is something, it could, if it is a vehicular accident, then it should be a traffic report. Okay, be factual, avoid coming up with long statements on the item number one on what happened. Stay on the facts. Avoid putting on your opinion or adding your opinion to the first question or to the statement. Now, second, who were involved. You need to identify who were involved. Now, if the involved personalities, unfortunately demised, then include in that in that second question what the company is doing for the family of the family or survived family of the employee. Okay, then second, along with that line, sorry, along in that line on the second item is that what are you going to do next? So on the third item is that what the organization is going to do next to prevent the same incident to happen in the future. Or should it happen, who will be the people that's going to be contacted if ever it happens? Now, fourth is that what do you call this? What's next? No, what's next for the organization? What are you doing in order to prevent the similar incident to happen? And then who are you the people that you are collaborating with in order to reach closure and resolution of the incident or of the accident? Now, when I say again, when I say incident, kasi pwede yung incident is an issue that has something to do with the personality. So let's say, for example, a very famous personality like Chris Aquino, right? Like Chris Aquino, siguro in your elevator na ano siya, no, nahulog yung elevator and she's inside the elevator. She's okay, she's good, but it's going to be a nightmare on your part. Now imagine if it's Corina Sanchez, right? Imagine it's Corina Sanchez. So you need to come up with the other than what you the third item kasi is what the company is doing right now in order to support the person involved and all the personalities around that person. But on the fourth item kasi is what are you going to do next to prevent that same incident to happen or same accident to happen. Now, fifth is when is the next best time that you are going to give feedback and update. Now, be proactive on the last item. Be proactive. Do not wait for the media to reach out to you. to you for updates. So if you have committed for a 30-day period for the next update, so meaning that's on July 18 or 17 because today is June 18. Dapat on the 15th pa lang, makapagbigay ka na kagad ng update sa media. Para when you call for press conference on the 17th or 18th, on the 30th day, whatever you are going to repeat, they have already been told 5 or 3 days ago. Oo, dapat ganun. Iunahin mo na sila, ilatag mo na kaagad yung mga sasabihin mo 2 or 3 days before the actual press conference. Or even uh, uh, 3 days before the deadline of the update. It could be in a press conference, it could be in through an email, or it could be to a press release. So the most important is that they're told ahead. What you cannot afford to do is for somebody coming from the media to speculate. They will often speculate because they lack information. In the absence of information, speculations will be high risk. Okay, speculations will be high risk, and that is something you cannot afford to do, especially in a press conference. Now, on the phase three, on the last part of the preparation of your comp plan. Now, in the final phase, the management should take proactive action in updating the media and updating as well your communication plan for crisis management preparation. Oh, now you have identified a black swan event, right? Because that was something that you have not prepared for in the past. So that incident should form part of your preparation in your crisis management. Kasi when we identify crisis management, it has nothing to do with the BCP. Magkaiba po ang BCP because business continuity plan, okay, continuity plan is a crisis that you have no control about. I mean, your main agenda there is to continue the business, right? What you are doing here in crisis is to avoid wrong information to go viral. Whether it is right or wrong information, you cannot afford it to go viral because when an information as such, any incident or accident as such, will always affect your bottom line. It will have an impact on your commercial brand. If your commercial brand is affected, so is your employer brand. If both brands are affected, then revenue is also affected. Correct? Tama, di ba? So, you need to include that now in your preparation for crisis management. True, you're going to prepare for BCP. Like when I was in a food beverage company, at that time we were preparing for tsunami because in Cebu, a father came looking for for his daughter named Chona May. And that resulted to, I'm sure Alan will remember this, and that resulted to a tsunami scare. So when the father was interviewed, well, all he said is that, well, I was looking for my daughter, Chona May. So he came around yelling, "Tsunami, tsunami, asan ka?" No, so kidding aside, well, it was not a joke. Huh? It's really true. It really happened. So at that time, looking back in that organization where I was then, we had to prepare for tsunami because that was the scare at that time. Now, business, to continue the business, what are we going to do? What are we going to do next? But for the crisis management, how are we going to tell the public if we were affected? Now, dalawang scenario yun. Kasi tsunami yan. Yung tsunami kasi, malakihan. Hindi naman yan pwedeng sa 10 nasa coastal area, eh ikaw lang talaga yung madidisgrasya, di ba? It's going to be the entire bay or the coastal area that will be affected by tsunami. But you see, if you are a global brand, an impact as such small as I mean large or small as that will always have an impact on your commercial brand globally kasi global brand kayo eh. So we were preparing then for something that what are we going to do if this goes out, if this happens, and CNN and ABC and all other international networks, or BBC, I mean ABC, BBC, and CNN will call us and will make follow up. So we have to prepare for that. So we did a workshop. We did a workshop. So ganun yung preparation nun for the comp plan. Now that's the best part of coming with a comp plan because you in HR, being the head of human resources, your interest by nature is actually public. Yes, the nature of your of your interest is actually public. Pag nagre-recruit ka, who do you recruit? 'Di ba public? when you send out a job ad for a particular position, for a particular vacancy, who do you inform? Di ba public? Public, right? So when you go around and promote your employer brand, who do you talk to? Who are your audience? It's still the public. So there's always the public interest, no? So human resources and public relations are not different from each other. In fact, if I'm going to compare the three positions, so, or the three functions, human resources, marketing, and public relations, you will notice that marketing is far from public relations, but closer to human resources. 'Di ba? Tingnan mo yung audience niya. Staff yung audience ng human resources, the employed. But of course, at the same time, those who are prospect for employment. Public relations immediately, it's really the people outside, no? Regardless whether they are end users, customers, no? Kasi customer magkaiba sa end user eh. When your customers are the distributors, the one who are the customers for the distributors are your end users. So people pa rin malakihan, unlike in marketing is very specific. It could be a distributor, so the marketing program will only communicate to the distributors. If this intended for end users, then the marketing communication will always speak out to that audience. Pero pag tingnan mo yung audience ni public relations and HR, closer to each other, right? So, di nalalayo si HR from public relations. We attended, Darwin mentioned earlier that he and I went to Singapore last year, and we attended a tech HR conference. And in that conference, David Ulrich was interviewed, adding HR now is adding value. Now, for those who do not know who David Ulrich is, or Dave Ulrich is the grandfather, or should I say the godfather of modern HR. Some would say otherwise because they advocate something else, or they have their own person to look up to. But for someone like myself and Darwin, perhaps, and maybe even Alan, and some of you here listening, we always look at Dave Ulrich, somebody who really pioneered a change and development in the practice of human resources. So, part of that change, actually, in that development is that HR is the center now of communication. We are now the center of communication because when you look at media channels right now, it is not as limited as it was then. When you look at it now, it's vast, it's wide. A simple SMS could also be a channel for media relations, right? Subukan mong kumuha ng account sa Globe or Smart for mass SMS text message. That is a channel, right? It's a media channel. No, same as well with TikTok, FB, LinkedIn now, and all other forms of social media. So right now, HR, the future of HR is communication. Nag-transition tayo and we evolve. I mean, HR evolved from strictly clinical psychology or industrial psychology, which studies human behavior, conditioning, you know, uh, identifying motivational factors against hygiene, and so on, blah, blah, blah. We are slowly evolving to what is now more towards data analytics, which is numerical or numbers, and communication, which is more towards relationship and relations. Kasi ang sinasabi natin dito sa communication is not limited only to the person speaking to others, but actually in the relationship that goes and establishes that communication. That is what is meant by the future of HR, which is now a communication. Now, I would like to end this presentation because I would like to make more time with this in the discussion with all of us asking questions, and I can also ask questions from the crowd as well, and also from Alan and also from Darwin, because I would like this to be more interactive rather than just me having the monopoly of sharing, of discussion. So I'd like to end this presentation with this. Try to look for try to click the link at the bottom, or try to search for the title. It will tell you exactly how HR has evolved over the years. Although the article was written in 2020, I believe it is applicable now, more so that we are going towards the end of pandemic. At the start of pandemic, in the height of lockdown, all the more we were needed for the public relations. Even if the public were not seen outside, right? Were not publicly seen, but I mean communication. But now slowly we are moving towards the new set of HR trends. Then all the more that we as HR has to be effective in communication. And communication is not just what you have to say, but the relationship that you're going to establish with your audience. So that's it. That's me for this afternoon. You can find me again on LinkedIn, on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Ollie. Ollie, nako, may mga questions na pumasok from my end. Ollie, kasi 'di ba, the topic is about crisis management. And right now, we're in the era of technology wherein napakadaling i-document ang isang kapalpakan ng isang kumpanya, ng isang office, ng isang establishment. And that would actually hurt the reputation of an organization, and it will be a reputational crisis. Recently, Cebu Pacific has a lot of backlash in TikTok and social media, Facebook, and whatnot because of what's happening on their uh, airlines in terms of delayed flights, canceled flights, in terms of waiting for 24 to 36 hours in the airport, yung mga ganun ba. Uh, with all of these issues that is coming from operations, coming from the ground, how would an HR leader who's not really immersed in the business be able to uh, provide a very uh, sabihin natin message for both internal and internal yung mga different department leaders paano maayos, external yung mga clients o yung mga customers, how will you be able to address these issues, yung backlash sa social media, kasi hindi lang sa Cebu Pacific nangyari yan, Ollie, if you would remember. Nutri-Foods also had this issue before, di ba? When
Yes,
they had
yes.
issues with their employees, and there was a backlash
Yes, correct.
with Nutri-Foods na talagang i-boycott ang mga produkto ng kumpanya ngayon, di ba? Ano pa ba? Bukod sa Nutri-Foods, bukod sa Cebu Pacific. Recently, we've also had seen issues of reputational backlash for um what you call this, for conglomerates that
Uh-huh.
are aligned with some
Uh, oh, okay,
political
okay.
political
Clan.
colors. Oo, 'di ba?
Oh,
And without even being political, how would an HR person handle all of these wherein the backlash is coming from social media, wherein the issue is really incompetence of the work or labor disputes, or yung
um,
sa
mm,
or
mm.
difference in political views
Mhm.
wherein ang nangyayari is anong tawag dito, Alan, ang nangyayari ay hindi sinusuportahan ng mga customers
Uh-huh.
or
Uh-huh.
nag hindi na bumibili yung mga
Boycott.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
customers ng
Uh-huh.
produkto nila.
Boycott, boycott. Oh, that's a boycott.
Bino-boycott na nila. Oo.
Oh.
May
Oh.
bagong
Well,
term sa boycott eh. Ano nga bang tawag yung bagong term nila sa boycott?
cancel.
Um,
Cancel.
yeah, cancel
Cancel.
culture,
Cancel.
right, Ollie? Sorry. Cancel culture.
Oh, okay. That, that's
How
a
would
that's
as
a
an HR
very
person?
large elephant to eat, to be honest with you. What I mean by this is that there's a very large question to answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice it down in three different parts. Okay. First is let's take a look at Cebu Pacific as an example, because you mentioned it already. So let's use Cebu Pacific here. Now, I once worked at a premium airline company in the past, and what we have experienced as a premium airline company, as a flag carrier at that time until now, being the flag carrier of that organization, and similar with with Cebu Pacific, sorry, the experience is actually the same. I mean, because there are issues that you cannot handle in terms of operations because we are only sharing one airport, and that one airport only has one runway, and one runway you're looking at three terminals with multiple and different flights coming in and out of the country. Now, this is something that the consumers do not understand. Okay, so
And
if
they're not
I were,
aware
I don't
of.
know if I'm in the
They're
right
not aware of
position.
that. Mm-mm.
Yes, correct. They don't understand that, and they're not aware of that. So this is something that is factual and cannot be fully accepted by somebody who saved money to pay 4,000 pesos on an air on a plane ticket, di ba? Kasi mahal ang 4,000 eh, and it's only one way. But I'm not in the position to recommend to Cebu Pacific or any other low-cost carrier, but I think what they could do is that each ticket purchaser should be informed of the low-cost carrier concept. Kasi hindi siya tulad ng premium o kaya ng flag carrier that if the flag carrier cancels its flight, you have a choice between uh, 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 Bel, Belluve Hotel, or you go to the the Century Park Hotel. Dalawa yung pagpipilian mo eh. No? Yung maganda yung ano nila programa nila. But when you compare the tickets on the flag carrier is more expensive kasi premium siya eh. But the low cost carrier kasi LCC, like like the airline that I took coming over here to Cebu this morning is a low cost carrier, and we were delayed for 1 hour, over a little over 1 hour, I think. But this is something that should be managed in terms of expectation. Sabi nga natin, di ba, sa HR, sa management, you throw peanuts, you get monkeys, right? Not that the passengers are monkeys, but we're paying bag of peanuts. So I think we should have to lower down our expectation that this is going to be a jungle. This is going to be a zoo kasi we're paying peanuts eh. No, we need to manage that expression. Okay, that's the first. Now, second, we need to identify also the difference between a commercial concern and an employee concern. Now, in this case, if we're using Cebu Pacific as an example, it is more of a commercial incident. It is more of a commercial issue, and the incident has nothing to do with near miss. O kasi hindi naman siya aksidente, hindi naman siya what do you call this? Hindi siya out of the blue, no? Now, this is something that they do not have control about. It could be the radar, it could be the generator of NAIA, which happened few months ago, and all other things, right? So I think in this second tier, we need to differentiate what is a commercial issue, what is an employee or incident issue. To add example to what you just presented, Darwin, when I was in a food bev organization, every now and then, I think sa isang beses sa isang linggo, we will receive complaints that the bottle has either butike, cigarette butt, or napasukan ng katol. Now, maniniwala ako sa maniniwala pa ako sa napasukan ng toothpick eh. Pero yung napasukan ng butike, tapos well covered yung bottle, yung carbonation nun dapat nag-disintegrate na yung yung butiki eh. Dapat patay na yung butiki, dapat nainom na niya yun. Kung cigarette butt man yun, I think the cigarette butt will already decolorize, no? Discolorize, I mean. Pero puting-puti pa yung cigarette butt eh. Even the katol, yung katol, buong-buo pa siya. So hindi pa siya hindi pa siya natunaw, hindi pa siya na pulverize. And you're looking at a drink that is high in carbonation, and yung impact nun pag binatol yun, napaka high pressure. So anong ibig sabihin nito? I'm not putting colors on the complainants. I'm not putting colors, I'm not putting doubt, but we just simply apply what is said in the Consumer Act. The Consumer Act says, pag merong ganyang complaints, palitan mo ng panibago. Yun lang. 1:1. Bili ka ng 1 litro, palitan kita ng 1 litro. But because we are a good organization, we are a global brand, ginagawa namin, pinapalitan namin isang case. Pag minsan merong soon to expire, ginagawa namin 2 case. Tapos pag binibigyan kami ng mga hospital bill, sorry, we cannot reimburse you. What we can do for you is to add more drinks, more drinks to your table. That's it. Because the law says 1:1 eh. Oh, so that's second, no commercial brand. No, third, no, no, third on the third item, the preparation of communication or com plan. yung sa example yung sa NutriAsia, that NutriAsia happened years ago eh. Parang nag-union strike din sila, 'di ba? Nag-union
Correct.
strike sila and at the height of the CBA negotiation, so it eventually failed because there were certain demands. And I think NutriAsia at that time, one of their clients, Hans pulled out kasi nagma-manufacture si NutriAsia for the Hans brand. Kasi si Hans binili ni Mondelez. Ano, Kraft at that time. Kraft muna, tapos binili ni Mondelez. So walang negosyo masyado yung NutriAsia. So I think the union was demanding for something large at that time. Kasi yung kiniklaim nila, kumita na yung kumpanya, so they want to have a little bit of that share. Kaso whenever we look at salary administration, it is not just affordability, but also sustainability. Di ba? Kasi pag nag-increase ka ngayon, hindi naman yung one-time increase eh. You have to prepare the same labor cost next year. O labor budget for next year and then the subsequent years and so on. So, gano'n yung ano ng ano do'n sa preparation natin when it comes to union kasi tsaka meron ka pa namang 60 days diyan to prepare, eh. So, I don't know what happened really at that time in Asia, although it came out on the TV for a few times, no? Um, parang naamoy ko nga na yung isang media outlet parang bias ng konti, bias ng konti kasi hindi binigyan ng airtime si Asia. Binigyan ng airtime yung mga hindi ko nga sigurado kung talagang trabahante yun dun eh. Baka mga representative lang. But anyway, not to add color to that, I just want to add emphasis for the sake of our discussion. Now, pero Darwin, I would like to share something no in terms of preparation for communication. Now, uh, years ago, I was in a construction company and natumba yung ano, yung scaffolding. So natumba yung scaffolding, dumulas yung ano, yung mga braces ng ano, ng building, no? Kasi yung building pag tinatayo 'yon, hindi naman kasi siya ano kaagad eh, hindi naman kasi siya semento kaagad eh. Meron pa yung mga temporary brackets, no? So it fell. So there were I think casualties, 5 casualties similar to an incident or accident, sorry, that happened in Makati Avenue, yung nahulog yung elevator, yung
Mm.
mga construction workers, namatay silang lahat, 'di ba? Mga 7 yata o 12 yung namatay. So that was something that we have already prepared for. Oo, kasi yearly in that construction company, yun talaga yung pinaghahandaan namin. Yung nalaglagan ng yung nabagsakan ng ano, ng yero, nahulog sa scaffolding, nahulog sa ano. So immediately, kami na tumawag sa media outlets. So we had to tell them that, oh, may aksidente dito, this is what we're doing. So yun, sa phase 2, what happened, who were involved, what are we doing right now, what are sa mga ano na biktima, no? So we took them to the hospital. Apparently merong mga dead on the spot, so we took care of them. And then the family, no? So we're taking care also of the funeral rites and then so on. No, yung fourth, anong ginagawa namin, gagawin namin para hindi na siya mangyari ulit. O, tapos yung fifth, yun na yun, constant, every year, paulit-ulit, paulit-ulit na senaryo. So, kunyari, tatawag kami, meron kaming assigned person na, kunyari, siya yung media, tatawagan namin. Then we set a workshop. So, we pick people at random in the organization who will be part of the press conference. So, magtatanong sila ng kung ano-ano. Practice. Diba? Maganda kasi pag meron kang, napapractice yun. So, yung identified na yun, we identified, that identified scenario is in the event that an employee is affected in an incident or accident. Pero pag na-involve naman yung community, so doon napapasok yung, but at that time kasi marketing yung nag-handle ng public relations eh. So doon napapasok si marketing because it includes daw a community, a society. Nagkaroon ng public interest. Oh. So that's what we did.
Another question, Ollie. You've known about sa Philippines kasi maraming urban legend eh, 'di ba? And some of the urban legends are actually negative marketing of some companies towards another company. I'll give you a perfect example. The urban legend of the snake in Robinson's Galleria was actually a negative marketing of another mall to discourage people from going to Rob's Galleria and supporting their own malls. If you were in that shoes, how, kasi di ba, or ano yan eh, urban legend yan eh. It's still an ongoing thing even up to now. How would an HR person be able to
to put a stop.
manage such reputation, both from possible clients, possible employees, and even customers?
Darwin, it's funny because somebody asked me that question years ago, and my answer then, Robinson should have done at that time, or even up to now, if that urban legend is still circulating in social media, ang mabuti sana nilang ginawa is, naghuli sila ng ahas. Tapos
Mm.
nag-publicize sila. Nahuli na po ang ahas. Wala na pong ahas sa Robinson's Galleria. It's about time
Mm.
we celebrate. O kasi, kaya siya nagko-continue kasi walang ending. Or kaya siya nagko-continue walang ending. Kung ako sa kanila, I mean, I would have leverage on that urban legend para mamatay yung urban legend. Ito na ngayon, nakahuli kami ng 20 20 feet size na na sawa. Twins pa yung sawa. O, di ba? Para masaya. O tapos maglalagay tayo ng sawa sa entrance ng ng Robinson's Galleria. O edi free selfie ka ngayon. Pag nagpa-selfie ka, meron kang pa-print out. Nahuli namin ang sawa. O, di ba ang ganda?
Sasakyan mo, no?
Oo, sasakyan mo na lang kasi in order for that to end, urban legends like that, in order for that to end, you need to either admit it or do something na para matapos na. Parang chismis 'yan eh.
Mhm,
Kahit
mhm.
anong gawin mo sa chismis, pag chismis crispy, malinamnam, sarap nguyang-nguyain, ay nako, paulit-ulit yung chismis na yan, hindi yan matatapos. And ikaw, you defending yourself, defending your reputation, mauubos lang yung boses mo, yung laway mo, and all other resources. Why don't you just admit it and put a stop to that? Look at Jim Paredes. Di ba? When his video came out, yes, it was me. Did you like it or
Admittedly.
not?
Mhm.
Di ba?
Oh,
Putol ka agad.
Correct, correct.
oh.
Um, Oli, one of the companies that I know that really specialize handling crisis management is SM. I remember there were a lot of SM stores who had caught fire, or a lot of SM stores that their elevators were malfunctioned, people died, and even in the height of Ondoy, where there are SM na sinara daw at maraming nalunod at maraming namatay. But SM was able to handle that because based on the grapevine, for they really pay for such no for such negative publicity. They really counter it
Oo.
managing such negative publicity. Is this something that you would recommend? Yung talagang companies would hire a marketing person, publicist. Kasi SM hires publicists
Well,
to
well,
control
for
whatever negative media that is happening, di ba?
yes, if you have the budget for that, you should. In fact, the layman's term, or the term out there is, you hire spin doctors. If somebody's going to spin it around to
Mhm.
another story, so you hire spin doctors, you hire publicists, you hire media company, multimedia company to do that for you. Now, to add, Darwin, I forgot kasi to mention this earlier. To add to that urban legend, guys, we have to be careful in the circulation or circulating any viral information that we are not sure about, because there's the anti-cybercrime law, there's the
Mhm.
defamation and libel law, and with the anti cybercrime, you could go to jail. You could go to jail. Sa libel,
Mhm.
if it can be proven, you can also go to jail. O kaya
Mm.
yung I think it was at the height of 2018 ba yun, something. Here in Cebu, we have a group here in Cebu ng HR. Nag-share siya ng sotanghon na sinusunog. Sotanghon. Ang nakasama
Mhm.
nun
Mm.
kasi, yung sotanghon na sinusunog niya, nagiging uling, di ba? Nagiging uling. Mention yung
Mhm.
pangalan ng kumpanya. Mention yung pangalan ng kumpanya. Tapos sinicirculate niya, sinishare niya. Sabi ko, you have to stop doing that because, for one, you are not sure of the information that is true. Second,
Mhm.
nagmumukha tayong tanga in human resources, tayong mga HR, pag sinirculate natin yan. Kasi lahat ng bagay sa mundo is made of carbon. Pag sinunog mo yan, magiging uling talaga yan. The only
Mm.
thing that is not made of carbon, stones, yung bato. Yung ano nga, yung bakal nga, pag sinunog mo, nagiging lava yan, di ba? Eventually, magiging uling. So, sabi ko, we in HR should be the first line of defense in terms of truth. Dapat yung katotohanan, dapat dito sa atin mag-uumpisa. Kaya pag may na-receive kang viral information about something, don't pass it around. Investigate. Now, if
Agree.
this true, don't pass it around. If this false, all the more you don't pass it around. Now, to
Agree.
answer your
Agree.
question, to answer your question, Darwin, no, on the second, should you hire spin doctors or media publicists? The answer is yes. You should get one. In fact, you should have a person or department who will handle that for you because this has something to do with the brands that you have. Now, to add
Mm.
example to SM, yung nangyari sa Lavapalooza, if you're familiar with that.
Oh
Di
yeah.
ba Lavapalooza,
Mm.
yung nagkikissing ng February 14 ba yun?
Correct. Correct.
You bring your date, you're a couple,
Mm.
tapos ka-countdown, maghahalikan kayo. Di ba may namatay doon overdose of drugs, di ba?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Of
you will be
drugs issue.
surprised because you will be surprised because that Lavapalooza was only isolated to close up brand. Doon siya na-isolate pero yung name ng company which is Unilever, hindi siya na-drag. So that's if you're going to look at it, that's how they wisely handled the situation. O napakaganda nung pagkaka-handle nila. Pero tingnan mo anong ginawa nila. Immediately they identified what happened. This is what happened and according to the PNP report, blah 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 blah. Now, who were involved? O, pinensyon nila who were involved. Ito yung ito yung young adult yata na namatay sa overdose, blah blah blah. Tapos where are they now? O, nasa hospital sila. Yung isa bangkay na. Tapos anong ginagawa nila ngayon to prevent that from happening? Ano sinabi ni Unilever? Pero wearing the brand of close up, we're going to stop Lavapalooza. We're not going to continue it anymore. We're going to discontinue that. So ang ganda, di ba? Imagine on that phase 2 na shinare ko, 5 steps lang yon, paulit-ulit. Now, if you do the same on the update, ganun yung gagawin mo. O update ka lang din on the what happened, who were involved, where are they now, and what are we doing next. Another example is yung sa AirAsia, yung namatay yung pasahero, yung aircraft coming from Jakarta going to Malaysia and in the middle of storm, I think, the aircraft disappeared, right?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what Tony
It
Fernandez
disappeared for the longest time.
Yes, you know what Tony Fernandez did, if you will remember, the first thing he did was he called for press conference. Hindi pa nga natin alam kung nasaan yung aircraft eh. For all we know, maybe the aircraft parked here in Cebu or parked in Aklan. We don't know, right? Pero you know that Tony Fernandez, what Tony did the first time was to admit we're losing an aircraft. Okay, who were involved? Well, the pilots and the passengers. What's going on now? Well, we don't know yet. We're still waiting for result. We'll give you update. Right now, we could give you final answer. Ano pa yung sabi niya doon? The families waiting for their passengers kasi nandoon sila sa terminal, no? Doon sila sa airport, will be accommodated and will be placed in a hotel conference. So nasa hotel sila lahat, doon sila go-conference, doon sila meeting. So ang ganda. Then every 3 days yata or every 24 hours may update coming from AirAsia to the media. So
Continuous.
every morning may press conference sila every morning. So 'di ba very proactive. So yung mga media
Agree.
at that time
Agree.
hindi nag-speculate. Hindi
Mm-hmm,
sila
mm-hmm.
nag-speculate. Kasi well ano sila well handled sila eh.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Mm.
Oli, balik ako dun sa
Oo.
question ko sa cancel culture because of political affiliation. Normally, what happens is that if you're a leader of an organization, a company, or whatnot, and you express your political views in social media, it will be it's either be supported or it will be taken as a cancel culture where the brand or the company you are representing will be canceled by those people at the other side of the fence. And normally the company would make a advertisement that the views and opinions of this particular person or members of the organization does not entirely reflect the views and opinion of the entire or organization, di ba? And we do not support any political
Correct.
affiliation or whatnot.
Correct.
This is something that should be done, di ba? And I think
Yes, correct.
it's a reminder for everyone that we should
Yes,
be
that's true.
very cognizant on whatever we post in social media, especially
Mm.
if it will affect and it will have a negative effect on a brand or the organization which you carry.
Or even on
Okay.
your personal reputation. Kaya
Correct,
if
correct.
you will notice, Darwin, whenever I speak, whenever I get invited to speak, I do not bring with me the name of the company, and I've been doing that
Mm-hmm.
for the past 10 years. I've been
Mm.
doing that for the past 10 years. Whenever I go to here or there to speak on a particular topic, I just put there my introduction to be as generic as possible. Now, second, it is really personal to me, like the school where I came from, what I have done, recognitions that I have received, and so on. Kasi pagka meron akong nasabi at hindi, halimbawa dito ngayon sa discussion na to, sa forum na to, at merong isang nag-object, no, aggressively objected on what I said, ang affected diyan yung kumpanyang nire-represent ko, eh, may employer. Eh, yung pinresent ko ngayon hindi naman dumaan sa corpcom namin 'yan. Hindi naman 'yan
Correct.
pinirmahan ni
Mm.
CEO, 'di ba? So, ano
Tama.
mangyayari sa akin? Baka mabitay ako. Now, for the cancel culture, everybody has the right. Everybody
Yes.
has the right to cancel out anyone out of a whim. However, if I may quote Harry Roque, the then Secretary Harry Roque, saying, "A man's privilege ends when someone else's rights begin." Now, I'm not sure if it was Roque who said that, but I heard it from him. Okay, a man's privilege ends when another man's rights begins. Now,
Hindi siya yung
cancellation
nangyari.
is a privilege.
Hindi siya original.
Ay, hindi ba? Hindi ba si Harry Roque? But I heard it from him, eh.
Nabasa niya lang 'yun. Mm.
Oh,
Oh,
most likely kasi
narinig ko na
abogado
rin 'yan
siya.
college ako, eh.
Oo, 'di ba?
Anyway,
Pero
speaking of
pero
that,
'di ba gano'n talaga 'yun. I mean, cancellation is your
oo,
privilege.
totoo.
Pero 'pag
Pero ang
binato mo
tawag
yung
natin diyan,
ano,
sige
yes,
sir,
yes, Alan.
ang tawag yata natin diyan is consumer activism. It refers
Oo nga, eh.
to the deliberate action taken by individuals or groups to express their dissatisfaction or disagreement with the company. So it's their right, altering
Oo,
their purchasing
kasi kung ayaw
behavior, making
oo,
informed choices. Ayaw mo na yung gantong product, ito naman ang product na susubukan mo kasi mas maganda yung reputation and services. Nalalagyan lang ng kulay kasi nadidikit sa mga political figure or mga bashers na overwhelming sa mga social media nowadays. Ako, I
pero
believe
alam
in
mo, Alan,
consumer activism.
when
Mm.
it comes to business, if you're a business owner, you should ano, eh, you should not ano ba tawag dito? You should not wallow in the shadow of politics. You should not rest
Yeah,
Agree.
in the shadow of
definitely. I
politics if you're a
agree. I
business
agree.
owner. Oo. Kasi
I
sa
agree.
empleyado mo pa lang, iba-iba na kayo ng opinion, eh. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you're a professional naman, here's what you can do. Don't put the name of your company in your Facebook. Then bahala ka mag-run
That's
kung
right.
anong gawin mo dyan. Second,
Uh-huh.
huwag kang magpo-post ng naka-uniforme ka ng kumpanya nyo. Kasi mapapasama yung kumpanya nyo, sila yung babalikan kasi very active ka
Mm.
sa politics. So, you have
Mm.
to protect as well yourself. Protecting yourself is not only you but the entire family unit. Kasi ngayon with the social media, Facebook for example, very accessible yan, eh. Eh kung anak mo nasa sports, tapos ikaw leaning to the other political figure, yung sports team niya leaning to another political figure, edi kawawa siya. Siya yung
Mm.
pagbabalingan ng bullying, 'di ba? Ako I try as much as possible, I try to shy away from politics.
Mm.
Especially now that I joined an organization. Hindi na well, I'm a member of a small group of men. So I realized na, it's not a good idea to be in the shadow of politics.
Mm.
Alan, do you have
So,
any questions related to the topic?
okay, may mga questions ako. Kasi ang HR nowadays, in general ha, there maraming mga HR practitioners are already boxed in dun sa kanilang function na administrative. And yung marami na rin naman na unti-unti na nag-think out of the box into practicing strategic HR. Okay? Tapos, eto marami na namang trends that they have to upskill themselves in order to be secured of their job and become relevant in their organizations. For example, itong artificial intelligence. You mentioned earlier na communication, which is basically a PR job, should also be part of our skill sets, tayo mga HR practitioners.
Yes.
Meron ba mga existing training ngayon, parang some sort of, hindi naman transition, but upskilling HR to become acting PR in their organization? Kasi a PR's job is not an easy
Yes,
job.
that's true.
Lalo,
That's
lalo
true.
na kayong mga existing practitioners ng HR ay focus lang sa mga affairs internally. Sabi niyan, ang dami ko nang stress sa loob, ako pang harap diyan sa mga sa public, sa press, ang hirap yan ganun. Something like that. I think we need to train HR nowadays. So, meron bang existing training para magkaroon sila ng confidence in handling such job in case na merong crisis sa company?
And before you
Uh,
answer that, Ollie, siguro idagdag ko lang, di ba? There is a certain show na sikat na ang gagawin is pag may nagreklamo doon sa show na yon, tatawagan ng programa yung HR or yung
Oo,
company at ipuput on the spot yung HR or yung ipuput on the spot
grabe ano?
yung
uh,
yung mga leaders ng company. We
uh,
should be able to handle that, di ba? We should be able
yes,
to know how to handle such situations. Kasi if you're not able to handle that well, you will be put into a bad light. Your company
correct.
will be put into a
Correct,
bad light.
correct.
Plus, sisikat pa yung show na yon, di ba? Kasi ang nangyayari, nako, isumbong mo kay Ewan, di ba? Isumbong mo kay isumbong mo kay Tanin yung mga problema nyo sa kumpanya. And people would go to that particular show without even
Pero,
understanding that that is not the way to really resolve issues.
yes,
Oo.
it's not the right
But what's
avenue.
happening is that it's becoming so prevalent that
Uh,
when that particular person who's now a political figure calls the HR or calls the company, parang pambubuli na yung nangyayari, di ba? Di ba? Parang
Yeah.
parang ang nangyayari, oh, ba't hindi mo ginawa to? Alam mo ba yung ganyan, ganyan, ganyan?
uh,
And
Yun
HR
pa.
should know how to handle such situations. Hindi ka dapat magpapabuli.
Oo.
Yun pa eh.
Pero
Some follow-up question in situations like that. Tumawag si
anong
bully.
gagawin?
Um,
Oo. Oh,
can we
pero
refuse
teka ha.
can you refuse the
Oo,
interview as a
yes, that's true.
representative of the
You can.
company, di ba? Yun ang
Yes, you
mga
can.
pwede nating unang-una yun nga, yung may training ba? Yung tanong naman ni Darwin dito is anong gagawin mo pag ikaw yung naharap sa ganitong pambubuli
Uh,
publicly? Akin naman,
uh,
can we refuse the interview?
ganito yung ano, I'll answer the first question. But before I address the first question, let me put some thoughts on that, no, to add content. Are you familiar with region beta paradox? Any one of you?
Teka, nabasa
What's
ko lang.
that again?
Okay. Region beta paradox. Okay,
Ngayon ko lang siya narinig.
region beta paradox is when you are settled already in your comfort zone, regardless of your promising competencies, regardless of your promising potential, because you are so comfortable already in the environment you are in, you become okay with it. So that's region beta paradox. In fact, if I may quote Jerry Seinfeld saying, at some point you become comfortable with your own torture. Yung bang dating torture mo, now you're comfortable with it. It's no longer torturing to you. So you tend now to forget the potential that you have, the competencies you have to push yourself moving forward. So that's region beta paradox. Now, why did I mention this? Kasi marami po sa ating HR dito ngayon, takot sila mag magbihis ng panibagong suot. What do I mean by this? They are so afraid to try another function, another role, when in fact it may not be part of their KPI. Kasi thinking that they are so good in HR, they cannot afford to fail somewhere else. Yun ang thinking nila. Kaya maraming takot. Yeah, a good ask any trainer. You know, if you go to an organization, you go to companies, yung mga in charge ng lead ng learning and development doon, ayaw mag-handle ng labor relations. Bakit? Takot sila eh. They have that certain level of fear. And same also for labor relations. They don't want to try OD. Kasi they see OD as too bookish, too ganito, too into numbers. So they are also afraid. They don't want to fail. So I think at some point, we need to push ourselves forward to become we need to cross that to cross that paradox that we need to be there on the other side when we are ready to learn more. Now sige, anong bang available training outside? The answer is there is nothing specific to a particular competence. Tama po yan. There's nothing specific. For example, HR ka, gusto mo mag-PR, edi you go to PR training school. You don't go to PMAP. Unless PMAP has a training program that has something to do with you being an HR, becoming a PR person. Pero kung wala, then you go to a PR institution. Di ba? Doon ka maghahanap ng training ngayon. So ngayon, nakatrain ka na. Tanong naman, will you apply it or can you apply that in the organization? If the answer is no, you cannot apply that immediately, then you volunteer elsewhere. Mag-volunteer ka ngayon sa Philippine HR Group, sa PHRG. Di ba? O mag-volunteer ka. Dito, you email Alan saying na, Alan, I have something to share. Maybe I can speak in one of the learning session. So, this will also help you sharpen the saw without you losing your job, right? Ngayon, third, di meron ka ng competency, ano ka na, comfortable ka na sa ginagawa mo sa labas. Parang ano yan eh, parang again, sharpening the saw, so you're conditioned now, okay ka na, you have now the level of confidence. Now you can it will resonate in the organization. Your boss will eventually recognize it, will eventually realize na, oh, itong mamang to, ano no, parang nag-i-improve siya, parang may bago sa kanya. Gamitin nga natin. Then you will present yourself na, boss, ako na yan. You don't have to add additional pay to me. You do not have to put that on my KPI. Hindi na tayo mag-hire ng ibang tao, but I can do that on the side. So the learning is there. The avenue to sharpen your saw is provided. And now, this time around, you're being recognized. Nakikita ka ng kumpanya nyo. Just to share with you, Alan and Darwin, I had that region beta paradox 5 years ago before the pandemic. I was a bit hesitant on data analytics. I was hesitant on learning uh, robotics automation because because it was something that I couldn't understand. So at the height of lockdown, I studied first the structure, the IT structure. So there's infra, there's SaaS, there's us. So I get to learn it. Then like after a while, I get to study what do you call this data banking. No, I took MS programs. So I do not have the mastery of it, but I have the knowledge. May idea na ako, but I cannot do it. I cannot do coding. But I know already the purpose of Python and I know the result. So when I look at something or program, I could tell na, oh, ito Python to. Oh, ito ano to siya. Itong art na to, ginawa Maya editor. No, ito Adobe Effects ginawa. But I cannot do it. But when I look at it, that the material, I could tell now. But at that time, I was so scared, I was so afraid. Kasi biruin mo 'yun, Vice President, tapos babagsak ka sa babagsak ka sa data analytics. 'Di ba nakakahiya? So I had to learn on my own. I need to pick up on those learning sessions. I have to invest. That's another thing. Tayo kasi sa HR, mahilig tayo sa mga free. Kaya nagkaroon tayo ng PHR group, di ba? Because, we want to provide the avenue for those who may not prioritize self-learning. So at least nakakapag-share tayo, nakapagbigay tayo ng learning sa kapwa natin sa HR. But truth has it, you need to invest on yourself. Hindi po investment ang Starbucks, believe me. Hindi po investment ang mamahaling kotse. Investment po is your learning because that is something that you will carry on with you. So,
Mm.
mag-ano kayo, I mean, again, like what I said, there are centers that will provide you that, but there's may not be something specific to your function right now currently that will help you transition. but there are programs out there. There are programs out there that you can take, coming off from this particular group, coming off from that particular group. And yung IT right now is because we all know that IT is a very wide spectrum, right? Merong IT security, IT infrastructure, IT this, IT that. There's the front developer, full stack, front and back, then full stack. So, paano ba naman yung enroll ka sa basic? Bahala, bahala kung pumasa ka man o hindi. At least you know something, 'di ba? That's investment. So, yeah, akin
Okay.
Darwin, yung tanong mo pala, ano nga pala yung ano, yung sa was it
Yung
the
media
ano,
na nambubuli. Kasi
na
HR
nambubuli?
practitioners ngayon, ang dami mga HR, di naman HR, mga employees. Kapag meron silang issue with their HR manager or HR department, may mga
Oo, they go
nag-advise agad na
to
mabasa namin sa post na, sige, isumbong mo kay ano, gay ganyan. And they are tempted to do that. Iba talagang ginagawa. Thinking that they will be listened to didepensahan. At may mga issues sa ganun, no? May mga
oo.
episodes siya na dinipensahan yung empleyado publicly in the Facebook, pero napapaya sila minsan kasi wala pala sa lugar yung empleyado. Ang
Well,
tanong ni
well, ang
Darwin,
unang-una kasi doon, that's like how we handle NCMB. Pag tinatawag tayo ng NCMB because the union has grievance, no? At inakyat sa NCMB. Yung kung ano yung sinabi natin sa NCMB na madam, hindi po yan dumaan sa grievance machinery.
mm,
So, same approach we're going that we should handle media outlets like that. Ang sasabihin natin, sorry sir, hindi po siya dumaan sa due process. Meron po kaming admin hearing at yung mamang yan, hindi po siya sumisipot. Then syempre, gigisahin ka. I
ayun.
cannot answer that right now. I do not have the answer for that right now. Kasi, yung
Mm,
issue na yan has nothing to do with public. Pwede silang
mm.
pagsabihan ng ganun eh.
So
Pwede
yun.
mo pagsabihan ng ganun. Has nothing to do with public. It's an organizational issue. It's a discipline issue. Then therefore, it should be uh, downgraded back. No, that's the right term. Downgraded back to the plant level or to the company level. Kasi hindi naman,
Yun.
yung media kasi, hindi po siya NLRC. Di ba? Hindi naman siya labor court. Wala namang labor arbiter. Sorry to to the senator behind it, but he does not have the right to, or authority, rather, authority to arbitrate kasi wala siyang kakayahan. No? So,
Mm,
to add to that pala, Darwin, I just found out na may bayad pala yan. Pag dumulog ka sa kanya, may bayad na 60,000. At pag yung tinawagan na kumpanya nag-agree, yung grieving part, yung the other party, the defense panel, at nag-agree, meron din siyang 60,000. O kasi diyan siya kumukuha kasi ng ano eh, ng sponsors eh. So papagtapatin niya kayo, papag-awayin niya kayo. Di pag nag-aaway
mm,
kayo, marami niyang viewers, di ba?
mm.
So may bayad pala 'yon. Merong 60,000 plus gift pack. I think I mean again, it was just shared to me but I'm not so sure. Pwede nating umpisahan ngayon. Bigyan natin
So,
kayo ng
ganun pala.
60,000.
Alan, any other
Okay.
questions for Ollie?
Nabanggit ni Sir Oliver kanina yung movie na crisis, we create crisis or we parang our business is crisis. Okay? And it is actually a situation happened in the Philippines na similar to that. In fact,
Yes,
I
correct.
watched that movie online. I watched that movie online na tama yung sinabi mo. In fact, parang nga na-predict ng pelikula kung ano mga possibilities eh.
Yes.
And nagulat talaga ako sa parallelism ano. Now, speaking of that no, kapag talking about these guys na who are using PR to uplift their image and to influence the masses. Minsan kasi nagda-doubt ako sa mga PR practitioners kapag meron sila mga cover up na ginagamit, na ginagawa sa kanilang clients or organization na kinabibilangan. Ang tanong ko ay, ano ba mga ethics surrounding the practice of PR para naman mag-guide yung mga nakikinig na PR na para bang alam mo, pera-pera lang mo talaga usapan. What about ethics? What about the humanity behind these things? Ano masasabi mo sa bagay na to?
Well, that's a gray area eh. You know, at the end of the day, it's the client's protection. It's you need the, if you are coming from public relations, if you're coming from that what do you call this, from that
Profession.
corner of the of profession, from the corner of profession, you need to see to it that it's your client's best interest that will prevail. As to the facts, to the truthfulness of what you're going to do, that's a gray area. At
Oh,
the end of the day, you have to make your client happy. Parang ano yan parang nasa parlor kay sa barbero. Subukan mo magpagupit sa barbero, tapos tinanong mo, bagay ba ako? Pogi na ba ako? Immediately sagot yan, yes sir. Pogi ka sir. Kahit hindi ka bagay sa gupit mo, yan isasagot niya. Yung kasi it's your best interest pa rin eh. Oh, kaya hindi natin alam if how far and how deep can they be truthful, and how how unethical can they go in terms of faking things. The only solution that we have is we do our own research. That's the best remedy. If political figure claims to be like this, to be like that, then we do our own research. Tapos at least within our influence, yung kaopisina natin, yung sa bahay natin, at least sila mapagsasabihan natin. Oh, that's already five out of the millions of probable voters, di ba?
mm.
Oh, so that will help
Ali,
Okay.
out.
another question. I hope you can answer this. One of the kasi we're discussing about media and crisis in media. The most recent issue in this noontime show. This noontime show, who the main founders of that noontime show was booted out of that noontime show, and they had to resign, and they had to air their grievances online, and they have to have a mass resignation shared to the public. Is this something recommended? I mean, because it's ako, the reason why I'm asking is because one, I feel that it's an internal issue that they could have managed, and the public should not have been involved. But since they've already put it out in public, uh, mass resignation using one piece of paper representing different individuals is something also that is not normally done in the corporate setting. Do you think that such practices, I don't want it to be normalized eh. That's my concern. Sometimes kasi when people see it in social media, in TV, they feel that it's something that can be normalized, it's something that can happen anytime. What are your thoughts on it?
Nako, Darwin, first and foremost, Darwin, I'm not so familiar with the issue of the TV sitcom, but one thing I know is that the admin are the investors. So one way
Mhm.
or another, I'm not sure if they already bought the brand. Kasi parang copyright yan eh. Pag binili na ng yung copyright tsaka yung brand, sila na yung may-ari. So you cannot use that anymore. Look what happened to Steve Jobs, di ba? When he was fired first at Apple, he still has his ownership, he still has his ano, but he cannot work as a CEO because the board terminated him. So what did he do? He put up Pixar. He put up something else. Same with what happened to Elon Musk, no? Eventually, he ended up selling what do you call PayPal, because the PayPal group, the investors, terminated him.
Mhm.
So he ended up selling his entire shares. So so when it comes to that, it's on at the bottom line of business is that who has the ownership of the brand or of the copyright. Now, second, in terms of ethics, it's unethical to to display your dirty laundry outside.
Mhm. Agree.
Parang oh, kasi ano na yan eh, karugtong na ng bituka mo yung brand na yan eh. 30 years, 40 years kayong nagsama ng brand na yan. Tapos ipapahiya mo. For me, no, I wouldn't do that. It's my brainchild, it's my baby. The best that I can do is to live peacefully and come up with another brand. After all, I'm sure no, meron pa rin silang ownership dyan sa brand na yan. I mean, if I were them, if I were them, they should
Mhm,
have
mhm.
taken the road less traveled. Yeah, do what Steve Jobs did and Elon Musk did. They created a different brand, different organizations. Tingnan mo si Steve Jobs, namatay na lang pero di maubos-ubos yung pera. Patay na, nag-earning pa rin. Kumikita pa rin, di ba?
Agree,
Sayang eh.
agree. Now, Ollie, we're already at the end of our program. It's already 2 minutes before 5 o'clock. I would like to give you the floor to give your last few words to our audience right now and to the hundreds of people who will be watching Team Replay. Kasi alam ko marami ngayon nasa labas with their family celebrating Father's Day. But I'm sure when they go back to their houses, tomorrow when they go back to the office, ang una nilang gagawin is to check what is happening, what is the topic about crisis management at the HR Cafe. Let me give you the floor for your final message of the importance of crisis management and anything that you would like to promote. Please use this opportunity so that people would know how to contact you, how to reach out to you, and any service that you're offering.
Oh, okay. Well, when I do consulting work, I've been doing a lot of consulting work since 2020 at the height of pandemic kasi most of the organizations they have not really look at strategic HR as a priority. I'm not so sure now, but I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. Slowly, things are getting better. So there's now a demand for strategic HR function. So I suggest also to everybody to take on a course, attend seminars that will add value to what you're doing right now or to your competencies that you have acquired over the years. At least it will enhance or add to that. So I do not have anything to plug in. I mean, I wish I'm part of that sitcom, no? Para I could say na, oh, may modeling ako at may drama ako. You can watch it on this particular day. But sorry, di natuloy yung pag-aartista ko eh. Oh,
Well, we'll
sabi
see you
nila,
at Singapore, Oli. And
oh,
are you going
sabi
to
nung
Baguio for the?
yeah.
Are you
No,
going to
well, I'm
Baguio?
not sure. I'm not sure yet with Mr. Alfred if
Okay,
he hasn't confirmed with me yet, but
okay.
over chat he mentioned that I'll be joining the team, but I'm not so sure. I'm keeping my lines open for that particular engagement. Yeah, we'll be going to Tech HR in Singapore, and I do have uh, speaking engagement in the pipeline. I
Yes,
don't know if
please.
matutuloy June 29. That will be in Sheraton Hotel in Manila, in Malate. So, yun lang so far ngayon.
And of course, your
Ay,
social media, you're in
yes,
Facebook
they
and
can they
Twitter
can
and LinkedIn and
yeah,
YouTube.
they can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, and on YouTube. Alam mo, Darwin, sayang kasi sabi nung director hindi daw pwedeng magkaparehong artista yung look alike eh. So I let Dieter Ocampo take my place. Sabi ko, Dieter, ikaw na
Okay,
lang.
Oliver. Thank you very much for giving us time. This is it's Father's Day, but you allotted time for us here at the HR Cafe, the Philippines HR Group, to share your knowledge and expertise with regards to crisis management and how HR can actually be at the forefront and be a leader in managing such crisis. Mentor Alan, any last words coming from you as we end the show?
Bago ako magbigay ng aking mag-plug, sabi nga ni Sir, ni Sir Oli, ay hindi raw tayo mga taga-showbiz para mag-plug. Pero ako, Sir, magpa-plug ako kahit hindi ako taga-showbiz. Una-una nga pala, bago ako makalimutan, I think nagkita tayo noon sa Cebu nung nagkonda ako ng management training program sa Matimco when you were still connected with Matimco.
Ah, yeah,
Were you
yeah, yeah.
connected? Di ba?
Yes, yes, yes. Oh,
Oo.
I was
So,
handling the project. I spearheaded the project for TPPMP, yung Team
yun.
Performance Planning and Development. TPPD
Exactly.
pala.
So,
TPPD.
doon tayo nagkita,
A small
malamang.
world talaga pag
Oo.
HR.
Ilang araw din ako doon, ano. Anyway, that was 1990s pa, mid-90s yata,
No, no,
late
early
90s,
mid 2000 naman. Mid 2000 or
mid-2000.
early 2000, something like that. Oh.
O mga ganon, no? Kasi hindi ko na
Oh.
maalala, balik-balik ako kasi kung ano ng mga clients. Anyway, then, uh, tungkol sa mga pwede kong i-offer, I would like to tell everyone out there who are watching live at saka yung mga nanonood sa recorded, i-relaunch po namin ang HR Essentials Masterclass, pero we'll be doing an international edition. Wow, pure English. Kasi may mga nagde-demand na ng mga clients abroad, yung iba ng mga Filipino HR abroad, pero mga ano nila, yung mga staff nila, mga kano, mga iba-iba mga nasyon, mga nationality. So, we have to do it in English. And We will also be relaunching our HR strategic and budget planning seminar para doon sa mga HR practitioners na inassign na mag-conduct ng planning session for their strategy sa HR at budget. Ayun po yung seminar na yun. HR Strategic and Budget Planning Seminar. And yung last week, pininisan ko na rin, sinare ko na rin to, yung ang EQ, interviewing for headhunters and HR practitioners or recruiters. Yun lang po yung aking tatlo. Thank you for the opportunity. Sir Darwin.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being part of the Philippines HR Group, HI Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay at Iba Pa. This June 18th, Father's Day. And we will see you again next week for another value-adding and free learning episode of the HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay at Iba Pa. See you guys next week, 3 p.m. Sunday. God bless everyone.
Okay,
Happy
All
happy
right.
Father's Day.
Father's
God
Day.
bless
Thank
everyone.
Thanks,
you.
God
Oliver.
bless.
Bye. God
Say
bless.
Bye-bye.
bye.